Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I hope that you guys have had a great week so far. This was election week and we have been praying and we've been hoping and we've been asking God for, breakthrough in our South African context with regards to leadership in our country and for that to just go in a way where it aligns more with God's will for us. Because we know that the plans that God has for us is for us to prosper and not to harm us. And for us to obviously be repentful of the things that we do, but for God to enrich us and for our lives to just flourish in Him. Oh, yes. So I hope that everyone is like amped for it. So, from the last thing that I've seen, I'm recording this after elections. And I think so far from what I've seen, it's already looking a bit better, right? But this video is not about that. And today is going to be a quick, interesting analogy for you guys, or just something that I think pointed me towards a process that happens with us, that occurs with us during certain times and periods of our lives. And especially when God is, working on us. And obviously God is always working on us, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so I don't know. I was busy with something. I think I was busy actually with, reading the word. And then I just recalled this image of this cartoon that I used to watch. And I'm not going to say what cartoon that is, but this image of this cartoon. So what happened was that there was this character in this cartoon, right? And the character was very ill, was very sick. And this happened all of a sudden. And the person, or the character rather, was and everyone was trying to figure out what was wrong with this character, what was wrong with this person, and at the end of it they realized that this individual had mercury poisoning a year ago, and that at the moment there was like a few drops, like 1 or 2 drops left in that individual, in that character's body, and the person didn't know about it. They thought everything was removed. But at that point in time, when they were going through that, sickness and bad health dip, they realized that, okay, this is mercury. Why is it in my body, right? Anyway, so at the end of the day, what happened was that they removed that mercury, that small drops of mercury that was left from that individual or that character's body, and that person was healed. That person was much, much, much more healthier after that process. Now, that process, ladies and gentlemen, was extremely painful. The process of removing that small bits and pieces of mercury was very painful. And I think that just kind of took me back to certain things that I went through in my life, and certain things that, God has sort of removed from my life. And I think I sort of realized that these things can be very painful, especially when you've been so firmly grounded in past ways, firmly grounded in previous hurts, firmly grounded in just things that have happened to you in the past, or just ways that you have picked up along the way that were just not okay and not aligned with God's will and not aligned with God's ways. And so because they are so grounded, it actually becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of who you are and how you are defined and how you define yourself, such that it's hard to break free from. And when you remove those things from you, it feels like you're removing a part of you, which then would obviously make it very painful. And so for today, guys, I just wanted to encourage you today that even though there's that painfulness of having to be stripped from your past self and who you felt like you needed to be or who you were, God is walking you through a process. And this process might be painful, but it will be worth it in the end. And that there is a better way of doing things, a better way of living than what you previously did. And those, ways of being very on guard or too overly on guard, or even too strict with yourself, possibly too strict with yourself, or possibly just overly burdened, man. Because you get those people that are just burdened by a lot of things and they don't actually give those things to God. And so that's kind of one of the things. Anyway, so that's part of it. And so when you are those kinds of people, and there's other sort of characteristics of individuals where you'll find that they are just hardwired in this way, that it's hard for you to remove that. But so my encouragement is that you will be becoming more and more like Jesus Christ, and connecting yourself further to God for His purposes, for you to actually flourish in those purposes and in His will for your life. And that process, like I've mentioned already, might be painful, and in fact very painful, right? Because of, like I mentioned, the vices that we might have had, that might not make it easy for us to move past that, or remove those parts from ourselves, or allow God rather to remove those things or those parts from ourselves. But it is worth it. And I think the other thing that I want to say is not to resist. Do not resist the change. It's very easy to resist the change when you feel like you're falling too much, or you're changing too much, or you feel like your old way of being guarded and being alert is being challenged, because you need to now have faith in God. You need to have hope and place your trust in God in those various areas. And so, yeah, man, allow yourself to sort of lean onto God in that regard. But that even though the process is painful, that you will still believe that God has something better for you. And sometimes keeping that, because remember, mercury is poisonous, right? So obviously if it stays in your body, it's going to cause a lot of harm and gradually deteriorate certain things in your body, because it's just super bad for you, right? So it's poisonous. And sometimes keeping the poison is inside is easier than allowing it to be removed, but it is better for your overall health. Because having that there, you have symptoms of it, right? When you have poison in the body, there's symptoms. But maybe you've become so used to the symptoms that you're like, ah, it's not that bad, or okay, it's all right. But when you change your life, when you change certain things about your life, it actually affects you even more. Those things that you have not changed or haven't completely changed, it affects you more, because that way of life that you're trying to walk on now is different and requires a different version of yourself. But sometimes you get too accustomed to the symptoms, even though it's obviously poisoning you. But that process, or that state of being okay with the symptoms, is much, much worse off than going through the process of actually removing that from your system, and for you to be completely healed at the end of the day in that particular area. And like I said, it might feel easier to keep that poison inside, but you will turn out much healthier and much better for it after allowing it to pass, allowing it to be removed. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. There's something coming up that is quite exciting that I will let you guys know in about like a week or 2 or 4 weeks, depending on when I post my next video. But guys, I hope that, the results are coming out in June. I mean, on Sunday, 2nd of June, I think it is. So we're hoping for the best, and we're still praying, God can still do miracles, but we are very hopeful at the moment. And I want us to stay hopeful during this time and during this counting time period, and stay focused on Him. And regardless of the results, that we still look towards Him and still trust Him and still have faith in Him. And yeah, man, I'm going to leave you guys with this. When I went to go and vote, I stood in the voting line for easily 3 hours. I do not know why, but I was like, no, I'm determined, I'm going to vote. So, I ended up voting, obviously. And they gave me this monstrosity of a line on my thumb to indicate that obviously I voted. But you know what? I wear it proudly, because I'm just glad I voted, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do that, because obviously a lot of things happen in our past. And for us to be able to even do that is very exciting and very, very, I don't want to say privileged, because you're supposed to be able to do it, but it's a privilege compared to our past. And so we thank God for that. But anyway, guys, I hope that you have a good day, and I hope that you are blessed. Stay blessed. I hope that you stay in the Word, stay looking towards God, and stay looking towards the things of God, and stay looking for those people that are of God to influence you more than others do. Anyway, have a good day and have a great week further. God bless.